Right, welcome back everybody. It's just gone up past 7 here where I am. So I'm just here to finish these little bits and pieces off. And I'm just about to just start repairing these little bits of wall. Bit there, and there's a couple of bits down there, you can see. It's really hard to point when you're not actually pointing at what you're pointing at. Anyway, so got that there. Put all my SBR on that little bit under there. And ceiling is not really even drying yet. You can see how thick that went on yesterday. So that's overnight, it's barely started to dry. Thought I'd get myself a pink t-shirt, a bit plastery, you know, like pink plaster, brighten myself up a bit. Don't know if I get a little logo printed on some pink t-shirts there. Might be an idea, mine. Everyone else seems to be doing it. Damo, Dam's TV, On the Trail, Plaster Smurf, Splatter Matters. I need something on mine, don't I? Right, so this looks like it was an old flue going out the wall, but it's been blocked up. I've no idea. It just looks like someone's put a breeze block in it and just foamed it in. Look, it moves that breeze block. Right, I'm just here to cover it up, so let's do that. What would be a sensible way to do this? It would be sensible way would be a string and a bit of pin, wouldn't it? Now look at that circle. It looks like it's a similar shape, size to my little blow heater. So let's see if that fits in there. And I haven't tried this first. I'm not one of them that makes sure it's spot on and then pretends to be doing it for the first time. I like to try and be real with this. Let's see if that is indeed a similar size to that. Hasn't got to be exact. And that is, do you know what? That ain't bad. If I just do that circle and then put another inch round the edge of the circle, that should fit. Let's do a little mark around that. A circle. Now let's see, the proof is in the pudding. I haven't tried this. Let's see if I'm good or bad. Look at that, baby. Oh, behave, baby. That ain't bad, is it? Alright, so we're going to stick that in with a bit of expanding foam, plasterboard adhesive. And with these cans and these guns, they sell you the tin of cleaner as well, which is alright faff. Every time you use it, you've got to keep unscrewing this, blast that cleaner through it. Generally, I just leave them on the gun, and I don't know how long you can leave them for, but I'll just leave them. And I use this probably use this once or twice a week, and it never seems to go up. You just pick the end of that off, and it's good to go again. So I used to do that. I used to buy the can of the cleaner. I was spending so much time cleaning it, and if you didn't clean it properly, it would just block up anyway. So I was just throwing them away all the time. Doing it this way is the best way I've ever known, because it just doesn't block up. I suppose if you left it for months it would, but it seems to be right. First thing I'm going to do is just damp this down, because this foam does like, it sticks to damp better really. I suppose it just kills the dust. Right, that's been on 3 or 4 minutes. Let's just chuck that in there first. That will stick. Good, good, good. Now they're ready to go. That's just going off a little bit, and then I'll put some scrim around the joints. But now I'm just going to get in the mix with this and shut this thing on. Right, I'm just going to wet yesterday's ceiling down a bit, kill the suction a bit. We're all on now, doing all right actually. It's not even 9 o'clock yet, so that's all on. It's had 2 coats really. It's probably going to need a little top up if I'm honest. You can just see some of the arctics peering through. This is, well it was, it probably still is a bit, it's got like a big belly in it there. And with plastering, like a lot of trades, there's, you know, more than one way to do it. But I think one thing that's definitely universal when it comes to plastering is blending in of the edges. There is only really one way to do it. And I'm sure you've seen this many, many times from other plasterers, because it's just literally, you've got to keep that edge wet. You've got to go around with a brush that in. And then when you start to trowel it, same again, more water, put the trowel on. And something like that, you might want to finish it with flexible blade. I'm sure every plasterer on every plastering channel has done this, but so I won't go into it too deep, but I just wanted to put my little bit in really and say that that is really the only way to blend. There is no other magic option. It's just plenty of water around the edge and feather it off with a trowel. I always call it feathering. A lot of plasterers call it blending. I've always just, I suppose it's what part of the country you come from really, but it's always been feathering to me. Feather it in, feather it in, feather it out. So obviously you want to get that wetted in as quick as you can really. You don't want that to start drying and building up hardness, because then you're fighting to get it down. So nice and gently, just go around it with a brush, leave it, come back to it again, give it a little tap, make sure it's not too hard. Just brush around it again. You haven't really got to get a trowel on it at this stage. Don't panic and start thinking you've got to get trowels on them edges. You haven't. As long as them edges are blended off with a brush so you can almost see nothing, then the last few polishes you'll start working it, and then you'll get it off with a trowel. I'll show you once it's done. All blended like Beckham. All good. Nice and smooth. That's done now. That could have really, if I'm honestly, I could have done with another little thin top coat on that, but it's all right. It's fine, you know, it is what it is under there. But I'm going to be back to decorate this whole room. So anything that I've missed, any little snags or anything like that, I'll be going over it, because all these walls are going to need a proper sanding over with my, I use my big sander with a 225mm head on it. A bit like a drywall sander really. I'll fly over all this. It all needs it actually. I've got loads to do in here. I've got to do all this hallway as well. You can see like the state of a lot of it. Like the filling and stuff like that. So there's loads to do in here. All up the staircase. I've got a bedroom there. It goes down there. There's a bedroom there. I've got loads to do over a course of time. I've actually got too much work at the minute. It's bugging my head. People ringing up and texting. And I know it's great to have a load of work, but you know, sometimes you feel like just piss off, find someone else. But you can't do that, can you? Got another job to go and look at now. Then I'm going to pop to Tesco's, pick up a bottle of green food dye for Andrew's tile grout. And then I'll be back over at Andrew's. So I'll probably see you at Andrew's. Now, I've bought a lot of building materials in my time. And, you know, I've bought some stuff that I don't use that often. But this takes the biscuit. Right, I've never used that on a job before. Actually, I have. I lie. Years ago, used to put it in PVA to put on ceilings. But obviously, we don't need that now. But I haven't done that for donkey's years, because what else I used to do to diamond PVA would use like brick dye, you know, like the powder, mortar dye. But anyway, I bought that now, and that can only mean one thing. We're off to Andrew's. Now, I turned up to Andrew's as arranged, as I texted him. I'm going to turn up, do that bit of grouting, Andrew. Okay, yeah, great, lovely to see you. Got there. Now, if you remember the video, I'll try and put some pictures in this. If you remember what I did there, I did the wall under the shower and the back wall. And the wall that was on the left as you looked at the room was nothing on it. And Andrew had never asked for anything to be on it. So I was just about to grout the shirt, you know, clean the tiles up. Andrew says to me, "Did we discuss what's happening on that wall?" And I said, "Well, we discussed nothing, Andrew. There was nothing happening on that wall." Do you think you could? Do you think you could? I said, "Well, we haven't got enough tiles, Andrew. We've run out. We've only got a few little bits left." He said, "Well, I've got 6 more coming." I said, "Okay, all right." I said, "Well, that's all right. We can do it." And then he said, I'll put a picture of this in as well. As you look at that back wall, you'll see there's the feed pipe at the bottom of the wall, and I couldn't get a tile down behind that pipe because the pipe was too close to the wall, so I couldn't slip a tile behind it. And there's a hole there where the overflow pipe for the toilet went, and the toilet isn't plumbed in. So he said, what about that bit down the bottom? What's happening there? I said, well, I can't get a tile down there, Andrew. You know, you basically said to me, just do what you can. He went, oh, okay. He said, I could see his face was almost saying, well, I don't want it left like that. So I said, I'll tell you what I can do. I can put a little very slim boxing on that bit, and then tile the face and the bit top of that boxing. I said, okay. And then he said, well, what about the overflow pipe? Where's that going to go? Now, I don't know nothing about the overflow pipe. I don't know what's happening with this toilet. So I said, well, you still having the overflow pipe out there? I said, what's the plumber doing? Where's the plumber? He went, he said, oh, the plumber's gone. He walked off. I need to find another one. Now I'm thinking, for fuck, this is turning into something I didn't really want now. I thought I was just going to tile a couple of walls, do the job and go. So I said, well, the toilet was obviously on this wall because that's where the overflow pipe was. The toilet was on that back wall. He said, yeah, that's right, but we're moving it because he wants this freestanding bath in there. So now the toilet's on this other wall what he wants tiled. So I said, well, you can't have an overflow pipe running right across that wall, coming down and then through there. It's going to look awful. I said, can't you get a new system where the overflow is internal? It doesn't need an overflow pipe to run out. He went, oh, can you get them, can you? I said, yeah. I said, I'll send you a link to it. He said, oh, okay. I said, but who's going to fit it for you? He went, I don't know. He's like that, don't know. So then my conscience is saying to me, don't fucking say it, don't say it. And then I went, I'll put it in for you. And I thought, what? Why do I get involved in this shit? I said, I'll put it in for you. He went, oh, could you do that? I said, yeah. I said, look, I'm not a plumber, Andrew. I said, but I'm sure I can just fit that toilet. The feed's already there. All I've got to do is literally screw the toilet in the floor, back to the wall, connect the feed up, and then connect the waste up. Also got to connect the waste up, but most of that's there. I said, I'll do it for you. Because I'm thinking, I just want to get off of this job. Until all this is done, I can't really get away because everything's leading on to something else. And he said, what about the bath? Do you think you could do the bath? Now, I looked at the bath outside. It's a big, heavy, cast iron, freestanding bath. It's got all fancy feet that goes on it. So I see the waste coming out the middle of the floor. And I thought, well, how long is that going to take me? All I've got to do is get this bath in, which is going to be fucking heavy. Big, heavy cast iron bath. So I measured up for where the waste is sticking out of the floor, measured up for where it comes in the bath, and it should, he says, famous last words, it should just be a case of putting that bath down, connecting up the waste trap. So I'm thinking, okay, I could probably do this for him, Paul Sod. He really wants a bath. He said he's been using a sink for God knows how long. I didn't want to ask him how long, but this has been like this for a while. So he's just been washing in the sink. So then I'm looking at that and I'm thinking, right, okay, I can put the toilet in, I can put the bath in, I can finish the tiling. So I said to him, how are you going to fill the bath up, Andrew? Where's your water for that? He went, I've been thinking about this. So now he started showing me these heaters. I think it works off of a cal of gas. I don't really understand any of this crap. But I think it's basically a big water heater that lets you have like enough water to fill a bath out. So then he started talking to me about that. So where we're going to bring the electric in from, and I'm thinking, don't involve me. I said to him, Andrew, I can't touch this. This is rules and regulations stuff. I said, I can do the plumbing. I said, but I can't go anywhere near electrics, hot water heaters, flue pipes, because I think it has to have a flue coming out. So I don't know. He seems like he knows what he wants, but part of me's thinking, am I just involved in something that's just going to go on and on here? Because he doesn't really know. He's talking about having this hot water heater. It's quite a big thing. I think it's about 590 high by just under 400 wide. So it's quite a unit. It obviously needs power to it. It obviously needs water to it. I don't know. He said the flow rate is, it was so many gallons per minute. It seemed all right. It seemed like it would be enough to run. But I'm thinking, it's got to fill a bath up, you know. Can that be done? I don't know. I really haven't got a clue if that can be done or not. I suppose people that live in quite remote areas that haven't got, you know, the source to a lot of stuff, have they? Maybe it's like saying having in foreign countries where they're sort of really off grid. I don't know. So he's talking to me about it, and he wants to have it in the bathroom, just above the bath. And I'm saying, Andrew, I don't think you can have something that's powered by electric just on top of above a bath. I don't think that's a legal thing. I don't think anyone's going to do that for you. And then I'm sort of realising he doesn't really know. He doesn't understand rules and regulations. Now, what he wants might not even be possible. So I said to him, well, why don't you have it on the outside of the wall? If you've got Cali gas bottles powering it, I said, have this thing mounted on the outside of the wall. And then all you've got to do is basically run 2 copper pipes from the outside coming through the inside of this bathroom wall over your bath. That way all you see is the taps, hot and cold taps on the front wall. He's like, oh yeah, that'd be a good idea. But anyway, I'm waffling now, but I think that this job could end up being a pain in the arse. I haven't had no money off him yet. I might just ask him for half of it up front, because it seems like he's got enough money to be buying all these boilers and things. But part of me thinks I don't think he's imagining what he wants, but I don't think it's actually physically possible to do what he wants in that bathroom. But anyway, this is Andrew, so you know, what do you expect? You know, the man he's a funny man, and he's obviously got very eccentric ideas. So we'll see how that comes out. So the Andrew saga hasn't finished yet. I'm sure I'll be back there to film more and more and more. So anyway, I'm decorating tomorrow. I'm starting an outside decorate tomorrow. Just masonry, just outside masonry work, pebble dash painting, all that. So I might set you up and see you there tomorrow. But if I don't, have a good evening, and I'll see you soon.